the Miami version of you was the hardest player he ever had to guard. Are any versions of Kevin, would you say, the hardest player that you've had to guard?
Shit. I mean, every version. I mean, he continues to just get better and better and better. I mean, obviously him in Golden State was super dynamic because you just couldn't put multiple bodies in front of him because of the threat of Clay and Steph at all time. So that was super dynamic, and also his time in Brooklyn too. When obviously a little bit of the smaller sample, but when Kyrie and James was out there, you couldn't put multiple bodies. Anytime you can't put multiple bodies in front of a great like that has that ability to score the ball is very, very challenging, And also we had our battles in the finals too. Obviously, listen, even when he was young and, when him and Russ and James, he's never not been great at basketball. So, every version.
Kevin, what are some of the things that can be done to avoid those double teams with you at the top of the key?
I don't know. You gotta ask. I don't know. I think we just gotta convert. Maybe I gotta just get out the way, get in the corner, space the floor out for other guys. And I think just that when I get the ball against certain teams, they just gonna settle out and just say, we're just gonna double and play a little zone behind it and see what happens. And if we give open shots, that's cool. But maybe I just need to get out the way. Be honest, set screens, be ready to catch and shoot. Just space the floor for my teammates, It's been happening throughout the season, but, I'm starting to figure out, I think I just need to get out the way and let other guys dribble the ball.
Why do you in the second half, but I said, I see you. I see you. You're playing hardest, and that matters. Like you're lifting our team up because of how hard you're playing. Whether that's trying to take a charge, coming back and back tapping things, his physicality defensively, being in rotations, like all the stuff. And the offense came for him. It came.
We're way up with the commitment part of that. We've exceeded where we were to start the season exponentially, right? You got a 41-year-old LeBron James out on the floor, right? That right there speaks volume of where we were to where we at now and to where we're continuing to try to go, right? You got Luka taking charges, getting steals, and moving his feet, right? You got AR taking charges, steals, moving their feet, and holding their own and not being liabilities. Then you got me picking up my pressure, DA, Jackson, and everybody else who comes in. We're all trying to elevate our game. Not on the offensive end, because we know we can do that, but on the defensive end, we're trying to take as much pride as possible on that. We're not perfect. We understand we have a lot still to get better at, but each and every day we're getting better.
You start off the answer by going to the stars first. Is it even more impactful when they're the ones also like showing that commitment for the rest of the group?
For sure. We know the leaders of this team, LeBron, AR, Luka. Starts with them, and they do so much for us offensively. We ask a lot for them. They demand a lot. They want it. To see them on the defensive end giving everything they got, it forces everybody else to join them. And if you can't, then you're not going to play. And that's the mentality we got to have. And when you got your stars being the ones to lead that, and you can see what it turned out to be.
Seem to be hitting their stride. Why is it all working right now?
I find it very interesting what JJ Redick said pregame. He said our best version of these Lakers is when LeBron James is the third highest usage rated player. And I think that is a sign of where the Lakers are at right now, where LeBron James is at. At 41 years old, he has self-awareness. He knows his role. He knows he has to do everything else to allow this team to win, because Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, those are your guys, your offensive engines. We saw LeBron diving on the floor the other night. He's playing a dunker spot. He's rim running. He's cutting to the basket. He's playing in the corners. And so I find this is uncharted territories in a lot of ways. He's shot 15 shot attempts or lower in 7 straight games. That's the longest streak of his NBA career.
Unheard of if you think of LeBron.
We've never seen him play at this level where he's just not shooting the ball as much as he used to, but in that span, they're 6-1. He's averaging almost 7 assists per game, shooting 55% from the field or whatever it is. Very efficient basketball, and so this is, to me, 3 guys starting to gain chemistry at the right time, knowing their role.
All right, let's look at the playoffs here ahead of it. This is going to be a bunch of permutations and who plays who. Seems like the Lakers matched up really well with the Rockets. Should they be looking to face these guys in the playoffs?
Well, you can't manipulate it, right? Because 3 through 6, everybody is jumbled in together, including Denver and Minnesota, and the Lakers don't necessarily want to play them. But Houston is one of the worst clutch teams in the NBA. The Los Angeles Lakers, 19-6 in the clutch, the best team in the NBA. And the reason for that is you have 3 premier decision makers: Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Austin Reeves. You're going to make sure that you get a shot, a good shot. And to Shams' point about LeBron being third option, usually the third option is just a random guy. Michael Porter Jr., maybe Chet Holmgren, not the best supercomputer in the history of modern basketball, who's going to face second side defense. And now you're looking at going into the playoffs where LeBron can hone in. We know LeBron is a premier playoff player, and the Lakers have a premier playoff scorer in Luka Doncic. I'm not saying they're going to make some run. I am saying that they are positioning themselves to be in a premier position, at least for the first round.
Shams, I ask you because in the fourth quarter of this game, it was back and forth, and it felt like the Lakers had that extra gear. Houston did not. Your takeaway from the last stanza of this one?
Well, on the LeBron piece, it's crazy, Vinny. I think LeBron could be the number 1 option on any night. But the thing is like, that's the beauty of this, right? Because you're going to have Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves be the 1 and 2. But you can have LeBron James also at any given night have that moment. I like that play at the end there where Reeves gave it off to LeBron.
Drifts off.
It's like a sign. When Austin Reeves came in the NBA, he looked up to LeBron. Like, there's still that reverence when he plays with LeBron. It's like, how am I on a team and I'm the man and LeBron, you know, I'm the number 2 option. LeBron's given where he came in. But when I look at the Rockets, it's disjointed play down the stretch. I think they had more turnovers, 17, than field goals, 14 in the second half of this game. This is a team that's still clearly trying to figure out how can they close games consistently. Even opening night in Oklahoma City, very similar to this night. They have the lead, they're looking good, they're looking crisp. Kevin Durant looks like he's good, and they've got players like Jabari Smith Jr. that, you know, playing well. They just are not able to close, and that's kind of what you deal with when you give the keys and your runway to Reed Shepherd and Amen Thompson.
Young guys.
They wanted these guys to go and have free reign, and I think these are some of the backdrops and caveats that come with it. When I talk to teams around the league, the Rockets are not viewed as a legitimate title contender. Now, could they be a threat in the first round? For sure, but without Fred VanVleet, without Steven Adams, those are 2 starters they're down for the season.
They had their least amount of fourth quarter points all season last night, and we saw at the Garden, they gave up an 18-point lead to the Knicks. Last night, they were winning in this one.
Which is a weird thing for a guy that some think is the greatest player of all time, others think is the second greatest player of all time. But either way, he's in the top 5 any way you look at it. And now LeBron was a defender last night, and he discussed how they made things difficult for Kevin Durant.
Try to show him different looks throughout the game. I mean, he's one of the greatest players we've ever seen play. I mean, obviously, so just got to try to show him different looks, try to keep him off balance, and when he shoots, hope he miss. He don't miss many shots. I thought we did a good job of having a game plan, but also just switching up our pitches. Can't show a great like that too many of the same coverages throughout the whole game. He'll get a feel for it, so did a good job of just kind of switching up the pitches.
So I'm driving in this morning, and I'm listening to SportsCenter all night here on ESPN Radio, as I always do, and you do, and I know everybody does. It's an awesome show. And I heard that cut. And I thought to myself, is he their defensive coordinator now? Because that's what he sounds like, and that is a great sign. When you're talking about, hey, we got to switch our pitches on Kevin Durant, he's kind of talking the right way at this point with this team, with this role. I would feel really good about this if I'm a Lakers fan. I know Charles Barkley does not want us to do this. I'm not going to the place of them being contenders. What I am going to tell you is that's a guy that has figured out a role now.
So hold on. You say you don't want to jump out of the window and jump the Lakers contenders. You can't see a path for the Lakers to get to the Western Conference Finals.
Well, last night was a double whammy for them because I think that that's the team they need to play in the first round. You and I differ on this. You think Minnesota is going to be a struggle. So do I. You don't think Denver would be as much of a struggle.
Well, why don't you think the Lakers can play the Houston Rockets if they're in the 3 seed in the Western Conference?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if the Lakers are the 3 seed, last night's a double whammy because you need the Rockets to move down.
Yeah, and only a half game separated the two going into last night's game. But guess what? We play them again on Wednesday night, so we can continue to knock them down.
That's my point.
Yeah, so if we play the Rockets, a team that has a lot of good players, but nobody to really orchestrate the offense. They're clearly missing Fred VanVleet. They don't have that point guard element. As good as Reed Shepherd played, he's not Fred VanVleet in terms of being able to get the ball to guys in their spots consistently, especially in critical moments in the game. So they are clearly a deficient team. So if you get the Rockets as the draw in the first round, and then you get an inexperienced San Antonio Spurs team in the second round, yeah, I could absolutely see a path to the Lakers getting to the conference finals. And if you can see a path for them being in the Final Four, how the hell can you avoid calling them title contenders?
Because I don't know that they would beat the Spurs. That's where we differ. But I understand, like, that path is way more logical for me than the hypothetical.
We don't know what
Denver
Wemby and Steph Castle and all of those guys are going to be in the postseason. We don't know what they're going to be. We have no idea, no clue. Dylan Harper, we have no clue. Carter Bryant, we have no clue. Right? They do have some playoff experience on the roster. You do have De'Aaron Fox. But
Harrison
I mean,
Barnes off the bench.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't have guys that have gone on extensive, deep playoff runs, especially when you start looking at the top 6, top 7 guys in their rotation. So yeah, I understand that San Antonio looks the part when it comes to being a title contender. They've got the head-to-head record against the Oklahoma City Thunder, which feels like the bar to clear, not just in the conference, but in the entire league.
No doubt.
But experience matters. And the Lakers have a ton of it. So yeah, I'm not going to dismiss their chances at being able to get to the Western Conference Finals, especially based on the way that they're playing right now and based on what we saw last night.
All right, the other side of this may be the juicier part of this right now, because Kevin Durant said something post-game. Now, just to be clear, Kevin Durant last night had 18 points, 16 of them in the first half of this game. So he had 2 in the second half. He had 7 turnovers of the 24 for the Rockets, and he put that loss on himself.
Maybe I got to just get out the way, get in the corner, space the floor out for other guys. And I think just that when I get the ball against certain teams, they just going to settle out and just say, we're just going to double and play a little zone behind it and see what happens. And if we give open shots, that's cool. But maybe I just need to get out the way, be honest, set screens, be ready to catch and shoot, just space the floor out for my teammates. It's been happening throughout the season, but I'm starting to figure out, I think I just need to get out the way and let other guys dribble the ball. I just feel like we didn't make shots. We 5 for 26 from the 3, and that usually helps when team a W at half court, you swing, make threes. But I missed 2 wide open threes when we were up to 1 point. I could have pushed us up 4. I just feel like I lost the game for us tonight. That's simple. My teammates could. Of course, we probably can make more threes, but it's on me.
What? If he wants to get out of the way, then he should have gone to the Warriors when he had the opportunity to go to the Warriors.
I feel like we've said that till we're blue in the face. We have to let that go.
No, I mean the second time. I mean last year.
Yes.
Or the third time in the
At this point, it's an evergreen statement.
I mean, you can't, no. You don't sign up to go to the Houston Rockets if you're Kevin Durant to get out of the way. At what point are you talking about being in the dunker spot?
In defense of Kevin Durant, this would look completely different if Fred VanVleet was here.
Of course.
It would look completely different. A championship pedigree, somebody that is a professional point guard, it would look different. Right now, it's just a hodgepodge. Reed Sheppard played about as well as you could expect a guy in that spot could play, because that was playoff basketball that we saw last night. He didn't shoot it particularly well, but I did think that Reed Sheppard did a good job of playmaking. A couple of times he drove in the middle of the paint and finished with a dunk. So you don't expect Reed Sheppard to dunk. He did that a couple of times in last. But I would say this. Kevin Durant can't get to where he wants to go with this team as constituted. The only hope for the Rockets to contend at a championship level is to try to get to next season in hopes that Fred VanVleet is healthy. Because this year, it ain't gonna happen. No. Not in the Western Conference. And I think he sees the writing on the wall, right? Like last night was a historic matchup. You had LeBron and KD going at it. It's the first time in NBA history you had 2 players that combined for over 75,000 career points facing off against each other. You had that last night, and I think he realized that in that particular matchup, LeBron is the 3rd option on the LA Lakers, and he's the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd option for his team. And that's not going to fly when it comes to being able to contend in this deep conference that has so many title contending teams.
You hear those comments, and you think about Kevin Durant's career. Okay, he's been on Seattle/Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
He was on the Warriors. He was on the Nets. He was on the Suns. Now on the Rockets. That's 5 teams. We'll consider Seattle/Oklahoma City 1. Although I guess in a few years that's now 2, right? When they come back. But 5 teams. Is it on the table he plays for a 6th team in his career?
I don't think so. I really like Houston's team. Don't get me wrong.
Does he though?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he just, it's a sobering thought to realize that you don't have a shot. If you can't beat the Lakers on your home court in those circumstances, and if you saw the way that game played out, they had a ton of urgency, the Rockets being in that matchup. Like, they played the first half like their lives depended on it. But when it got into the second half, when the game got a little tighter, when we started getting into clutch time, guess what happened? They couldn't get good shots. The team shot under 20%.
Coming off a kind of physically, emotionally demanding game like Denver, you knew this was going to be a grind against the way Houston plays. How were you guys able to generate the defense, the energy that you needed in the second half?
I mean, like I said before, listen, you can't harp on the game previously too long, because it's another game coming up, and like I always talk about, the Wild Wild West is another tough opponent. So, excuse me, we understand what Houston brings to the table: physicality, athleticism, everything. And we just have to match that. And obviously, they beat us up on the glass. A lot of we didn't defensive rebound and clean glass like we can, but we just stuck with the game plan. Held them to like 37 in the second half or something like that, and 35 in the second half. And that's ingredients for winning. We buckled down on the defensive end.
You know better than anybody what Durant can do with a basketball. What was the kind of key to get it out of his hands and to create all the turnovers that happen out of that?
Try to show him different looks throughout the game. I mean, he's one of the greatest players we've ever seen play. Obviously, so just got to try to show him different looks, try to keep him off balance, and when he shoots, hope he miss. He don't miss many shots. I thought we did a good job of having a game plan, but also just switching up our pitches. We can't show a great like that too many of the same coverages throughout the whole game. He'll get a feel for it. So did a good job of just kind of switching up the pitches.
How would you evaluate this team's commitment to the defensive end of the floor now compared to earlier in the season?
Not comparing nothing. Early in the season, just talking about the present. So I continue to talk about what we are now. We just try to stay locked in on what needs to be done today, and we did that. So we got better today, and we got an opportunity to look over to some of the things we could have did better tomorrow, and then hopefully get better again on Wednesday.
What does it say about this team in the fourth quarter? You guys were like 1 for 14, 1 for 15 from the field, but you guys kept playing defense, didn't give into anything. What does it say about what you guys are doing on defense?
It's kind of like playoff basketball. It's going to happen, So 2 playoff teams, just figuring out how to get a bucket, but also trying to stay focused and locked in on both sides of the floor. That's sometimes how playoff basketball is. You can't just rely on the offensive end. You got to be able to buckle down and get stops.
Take care of the ball.
Go ahead, Ben.
You guys were able to take care of the ball pretty well. You guys had 1 turnover in the fourth quarter, and it was the shot clock violation there at the very end. What were you guys doing well, even if you weren't scoring, but not to make those mental mistakes?
Shots up at the goal. That's it. We didn't let them speed us up. They're very physical. Like I said, they're very athletic, and they can speed you up at times. So, sorry, we did a great job of not allowing them to speed us up, and we got shots up at the goal.
What do you think of the way that Ayton finished the game?
It was amazing. I mean, just the fact that he was sitting over there for as long as he did and stayed locked in on the game and come in and finish the game. Able to get a tip dunk, a couple jump hooks around the rim. A couple rebounds. He helped us finish the game.
LeBron, to be physically here in year 23, able to have those splash plays, the one over Jabari Smith Jr. in the first half, the lob from Austin in the second, just, I don't know, it's not surprised that you're able to still do it, but do you...
It kind of is.
Is it for you?
Yeah, it kind of is at times.
Either of those surprised?
I don't know if any of those surprised me. I mean, the one in the first half, I seen him tracking me, so, he's a pretty good shot blocker, so I had to throw that down. The lob from AR, I told him to throw it, so I had to go get it. But there's some plays I still do at this point in my career where it definitely surprised me for sure.
Last 2. How did you come out of the game on Sunday? The dive, all that stuff. We saw the super gross thing.
I didn't even show you the one on my hip, by the way. Yeah, I wasn't gonna post that. That's too much. I was pretty banged up on the flight. Obviously, we had to get on the plane the next day, so I was pretty banged up on the flight coming here, and pretty banged up, last night. But got a about 9.5 hours of sleep last night and woke up and I felt a lot better. I was able to get some rehab and treatment and activation going today, so it allowed me to play tonight, but definitely was around the clock with it.
Kevin,
Last question.
Kevin said the other day that the Miami version of you was the hardest player he ever had to guard. Are any versions of Kevin, would you say, the hardest player that you've had to guard?
I mean, every version. I mean, he continues to just get better and better and better. I mean, obviously him in Golden State was super dynamic because you just couldn't put multiple bodies in front of him because of the threat of Clay and Steph at all time. So that was super dynamic, and also his time in Brooklyn too. When obviously a little bit of the smaller sample, but when Kyrie and James was out there, you couldn't put multiple bodies. Anytime you can't put multiple bodies in front of a great like that has that ability to score the ball is very challenging. And also we had our battles in the finals too. I mean, obviously, listen, even when he was young, and him and Russ and James, he's never not been great at basketball. So. Every version.
There are moments in a basketball season when a team stops being a collection of talented individuals trying to figure each other out and becomes something recognizably different. Something with a pulse and a personality and a way of winning that exists independently of whether the shots are falling or the defense is impenetrable or the stars are performing at their ceiling. And what the Los Angeles Lakers did Monday night in Houston was one of those moments wrapped inside a box score so ugly it looked like it was designed specifically to lose. Delivered in a building where they had been demolished by 23 points less than 3 months ago, and sealed with a defensive identity that almost nobody believed this particular roster was capable of developing when the season began. 6 wins in a row, 9 of the last 10, 3rd seed in the Western Conference, and a question hanging over everything that the winning streak has not yet answered, because Marcus Smart is shooting threes at a rate that his entire career suggested was impossible, and the question of whether that continues into the playoffs is the single variable that separates this Lakers team from a legitimate championship conversation and a very good regular season followed by a familiar exit. There is also a man in Denver tonight named Nikola Jokic who is averaging a triple-double for the season and is about to face a Philadelphia team missing 4 of its 5 best scorers. And what he does in that game matters to the Lakers, whether they are watching or not. Because the Western Conference race is so compressed that a Jokic explosion against a helpless 76ers roster changes the seeding picture in ways that the Lakers cannot control and can only respond to. Every single one of these threads connects. Every single one of them is alive right now. Hit that like button before we go any further, because what follows is going to require your full attention, and it is going to be worth every second of it. So let us begin talking firstly about what happened Monday night in Houston, because the result deserves to be examined not for the final score, which was 100-92 and which the Lakers won, but for the specific and revealing manner in which they won it. Because the manner is the story, and the manner is what makes this victory more meaningful than any of the comfortable wins that preceded it in the current streak. The Lakers shot 23% from three-point range. They shot 40% from the floor overall. Austin Reeves, one of the best shot creators and rhythm shooters in the Western Conference over the past 2 months, went 0 for 8 from beyond the arc, which is a number so far outside his normal operating range that it looks like a typo until you verify it a second time. Houston committed 24 turnovers compared to just 12 for Los Angeles, which means the Rockets kept handing the Lakers extra possessions, and the Lakers kept failing to convert them efficiently. And yet, somehow the final score was an 8-point Los Angeles victory in a building that had sent them home with a 23-point loss on Christmas Day. If you had told anyone before tip-off that the Lakers would shoot those percentages, give up those offensive rebounds, struggle to generate consistent offense for extended stretches, and still walk out of Toyota Center with a win that extended their winning streak to 6 games and their lead over Houston in the Western Conference standings, the reaction would have been polite skepticism at best. But that is exactly what happened. And the reason it happened matters more than the fact that it happened. Because teams that can win ugly on the road against motivated opponents in playoff seeding situations are describing a competitive identity that cannot be manufactured through scheduling luck or opponent injury reports. JJ Redick walked out of that building and said something that captured the entire significance of the performance in a single sentence, noting that his team had to show playoff mentality this time of year and that his guys did exactly that and executed it really well. That is not the language of a coach who got lucky. That is the language of a coach who saw his team respond to adversity the way championship rosters respond to adversity, which is by finding different ways to win, rather than requiring everything to go right simultaneously. I believe the most important wins in any championship run are not the blowouts or the overtime classics, but the ugly road victories, where nothing works offensively and the team wins anyway. Because those wins reveal something about competitive character that comfortable performances never can. Now, the question that makes this victory even more significant is how it happened tactically, because JJ Redick did not simply put his players on the floor and hope the defense showed up on its own. He went into Toyota Center with a specific and deliberate game plan built around a concept that the basketball world has been slow to implement against Houston despite its obvious effectiveness, which is the systematic doubling and trapping of Kevin Durant every time he catches the ball in a position to create. The principle behind this approach is straightforward, and its effectiveness was confirmed in real time on Monday night. When Durant is forced to give up the ball under defensive pressure, the Houston Rockets, as a collective offensive unit, genuinely do not know what to do with it. The spacing becomes confused, the decision-making slows down. The 24 turnovers that Houston committed were not random mistakes by players having an off night. They were the product of a defensive scheme that specifically targeted the organizational weakness of a team built almost entirely around one primary creator. And when that creator was consistently denied comfortable catch-and-shoot or catch-and-drive situations, the rest of the Houston offense operated with the collective confidence of a team that had been told mid-game to speak a language they had never been properly taught. When Houston made the adjustment of putting a shooter in the corner to punish the double team, Redick responded immediately by deploying DeAndre Ayton as a rim anchor, which eliminated the cutting lanes that the corner spacing was designed to create, and forced Houston back into the same uncomfortable decision-making environment that had been producing turnovers all night. That specific adjustment, the timing of it, the reading of what Houston was doing before Houston had fully committed to it, is the kind of in-game tactical responsiveness that separates functional NBA coaches from genuinely excellent ones. And Redick has been doing this kind of thing consistently enough during the current winning streak that the earlier narrative about his coaching ability deserves to be permanently retired. He was criticized relentlessly during the difficult stretches of the season, and the easy response is to now give him proportional credit during the excellent stretches. But the more honest response is to acknowledge that the criticism was always somewhat detached from the actual evidence of how he was managing a roster dealing with a level of injury attrition that would have derailed most coaching staffs entirely. Defensively, the story of this stretch goes considerably deeper than any single game plan or any single opponent. And the numbers tell it with a clarity that the preseason skepticism about this roster never fully anticipated. Before the All-Star break, the Lakers posted a defensive rating of 116.6, which ranked them 23rd in the NBA, and was used regularly as the primary piece of evidence for the argument that a roster featuring Doncic, Reeves, and LeBron James as the three primary defensive assignments could not develop a consistent defensive identity regardless of the offensive firepower those three provided. Since the All-Star break, the Lakers have posted a defensive rating of 112.1, which ties them with the Detroit Pistons for the 11th best mark in the league over that stretch, representing the kind of improvement across a meaningful sample that does not happen accidentally, but reflects genuine developmental progress in communication, positioning, and competitive commitment on the less glamorous end of the floor. The Houston game was the third consecutive victory over a team that qualifies as a potential first-round playoff opponent. Minnesota on March 10th, Denver on March 14th, and Houston on March 16th, three teams with different offensive identities and different defensive challenges beaten in three completely different ways. The Timberwolves were beaten with a dominant third quarter. The Nuggets were beaten in overtime with a game-winning fadeaway. The Rockets were beaten with a defensive scheme in a low-scoring grind that required resilience rather than execution. That variety is not a coincidence. It is the fingerprint of a team that has figured out how to win in multiple modes, which is the specific capability that playoff basketball demands and that regular season sample sizes can never fully confirm until the team actually demonstrates it against genuine competition in genuine pressure situations. At the center of both the offensive resilience and the defensive improvement that has defined this winning streak is Luka Doncic doing something that his Lakers tenure had not yet consistently produced, which is performing at his playoff level ceiling during the regular season at the exact moment when the games carry playoff level weight. Monday night in Houston, with his supporting cast shooting 23% from three, and the building trying everything it could to generate a hostile enough environment to interrupt the Lakers' momentum, Doncic scored 36 points, including 16, in the first quarter alone, carrying the offensive load with the composure and the ball-handling precision that made him one of the most decorated players of his generation before he arrived in Los Angeles. This was his sixth consecutive game scoring 30 or more points. He is averaging over 33 points per game across this six-game winning streak. Since January 1st, his three-point percentage is 40.4% on 10.4 attempts per game, a number that exceeds what Stephen Curry has done on equivalent volume over the same period. And the version of Doncic that is emerging right now carries an additional dimension that his first season in purple and gold never fully developed, which is a genuine playoff mentality expressed not just through scoring, but through defensive engagement, officiating discipline, and the willingness to be the person his team needs him to be on any given night, rather than exclusively the version of himself that accumulates the most impressive individual statistics. Last season, his first playoffs with the Lakers ended in a first-round exit against a Minnesota team that was simply better prepared and better constructed for that specific series. And the circumstances surrounding his arrival in Los Angeles, the abruptness of the trade, the conditioning challenges, the roster unfamiliarity, created an environment where playoff Luka, the version who averaged 30.9 points per game in postseason play and hit game-winning shots against the Clippers and the Timberwolves, and countless others during his Dallas years, was essentially unavailable. The version showing up now looks like that player. The six-game winning streak has produced wins over 4 of the top 7 teams in basketball, in succession, in multiple formats, and Doncic has been the constant anchor, running through all of it at a level that suggests his body and his mind are arriving at the playoffs in a state of readiness that last season simply could not provide. This brings us to the conversation that matters most for understanding where the Lakers' playoff ceiling actually sits, because as brilliant as Doncic has been, and as impressive as the defensive improvement has been, and as meaningful as the variety of wins has been, the specific variable that Bill Simmons identified with uncomfortable precision on his podcast is the one that deserves the most honest examination heading into the postseason. Marcus Smart is the player that opposing defenses are going to leave open, and these series come down to whether he can hit that shot or not. That quote is not a criticism. It is an accurate description of the strategic reality that playoff teams exploit when they build their defensive schemes around the three stars and concede possessions to the fourth and fifth options, expecting those players to miss. Smart has been shooting 39% from three-point range in March, which is significantly above his career average and which has been a critical component of the offensive spacing that has allowed Doncic, Reeves, and LeBron James to operate with the floor stretched rather than compressed. In the Houston game specifically, his 11 points came with the kind of defensive intensity that earned him the 2022 NBA Defensive Player of the Year award and 3 Hustle Award trophies, and his post-game comments reflected exactly the competitive identity that the team has been building during this stretch, noting that the 6-game winning streak shows the team's willingness to get in the trenches and grind it out in ways that were not possible a couple of months ago. What Smart is describing is not a hot streak. He is describing a transformation in competitive character that the early portion of the season did not display, and the degree to which that character sustains itself when playoff defenses specifically target his three-point attempts and make him the primary beneficiary of their attention management is the question that the regular season cannot answer, but that April and May will resolve with brutal efficiency. Thinking about it carefully, Smart shooting 39% from 3 in March represents either a genuine evolution of his offensive capability or the most consequentially timed hot streak of his career. And the difference between those two things is the difference between a Lakers team with a genuine championship ceiling and a Lakers team with a very impressive regular season record that runs into its known limitations in the second round. Now, while everything happening with the Lakers is generating the kind of momentum and narrative energy that has not surrounded this franchise in years, the Western Conference landscape is not standing still around them. And the game happening tonight in Denver deserves specific attention because its implications extend directly into the Lakers' seeding picture and potential playoff matchup scenarios. The Denver Nuggets, who lost to the Lakers in overtime on March 14th and have been grinding through one of the most difficult stretches of their schedule, are hosting the Philadelphia 76ers tonight in a matchup that looks dramatically different from what the headline matchup between Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid would normally suggest, because the 76ers are arriving in Denver without Embiid, without Tyrese Maxey, without Paul George, and without Kelly Oubre Jr., which means 4 of Philadelphia's top 5 scorers are unavailable, and the Nuggets are playing against what amounts to a glorified development roster. Jokic has recorded a triple-double in 5 of his last 6 games and is averaging a triple-double for the entire season, and the betting market has Denver as a 15.5-point favorite, which is an enormous number for an NBA regular season game, and reflects the complete absence of resistance that a Philadelphia team missing its 4 best players can realistically offer against the league's most complete player operating at full capacity. A Denver win tonight, which approaches certainty given the circumstances, keeps the Nuggets within striking distance of the Lakers in the standings at a moment when every half game of separation matters in a conference where the 3rd through 6th seeds have been trading positions with remarkable frequency. The Lakers cannot control what Denver does tonight. What they can control is what they do Wednesday in their second game against Houston, which now carries the additional significance of being the decisive game in the season series, and a win would give Los Angeles the tiebreaker advantage over the Rockets that would prove decisive if these two teams finish the regular season with identical records. 9 of 10, 6 in a row, 3rd seed in the West. And the most interesting and consequential version of this Lakers team is only now beginning to reveal itself at the moment when it matters most.